Tomorrow marks the beginning of the public phase of the impeachment inquiry into President Trump. 3 officials are set to testify before Congress this week about President Trump and his interactions with the leader of Ukraine. It will draw back the curtain on what has been so far a closed process. Jennifer Bellamy shares what you can expect.
Jeff, Democrats say this next phase of the inquiry will show President Trump abused his power, that he committed a crime by asking a foreign country to investigate a political rival, while Republicans argue that these hearings will show there is no evidence of any wrongdoing. Either way, as both parties work to get their side to the public, you will be able to see and judge for yourself starting tomorrow.
Impeachment investigation goes public. After weeks of testimony behind closed doors, key players in the impeachment inquiry into President Trump will take center stage out in the open for any and all to see. Democrats plan to outline the alleged abuse of power by President Trump when he asked a foreign country to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden and his son. It all stems from a July 25th phone call between President Trump and the leader of Ukraine that came to light after a whistleblower complained from an unidentified member of the intelligence community. So here's how this next phase of the inquiry will play out. On Wednesday, acting Ukraine Ambassador Bill Taylor and George Kent, Deputy Assistant Secretary for Europe and Eurasian Affairs, will testify together at 10 a.m. before members of Congress. And on Friday, former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine Marie Yovanovitch will do the same at 9 a.m. All 3 career diplomats have already testified in private, and Democrats believe their accounts will connect the dots on alleged impeachable actions by the president. Transcripts from that closed-door hearing showed Taylor claimed he heard a top diplomat say that military aid to Ukraine had been held back until an announcement of an investigation into President Trump's opponents was announced. Kent transcripts show he said President Trump wanted nothing less than for Ukraine's president to go to the microphone and say investigations, Biden and Clinton. He's also expected to support testimony from other witnesses about President Trump's involvement in an alleged pressure campaign on Ukraine. As for Yovanovitch, her transcripts show testimony that President Trump pushed the State Department to remove her from her position, even though she says she did nothing wrong. The original whistleblower complaint suggests she was put out due to pressure from a former Ukrainian prosecutor and President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, who'd been operating shadow foreign policy efforts in the country.
Tomorrow, Republicans plan to rally around the president. You'll see that during questioning. You can also expect Democrats to try and lose the fancy language, words like quid pro quo, to make what they say is a crime committed by the president more easy for the public to understand. Lawmakers have interviewed several other officials, so we are likely to see more of these public hearings in the future as well. Jeff.
All right, Jennifer, thank you.